Sahana vavatu Sahano bhunaktu Sahaviryam karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. All right. Welcome to class. I had a bit of a chaotic this morning, but whenever we chant Om, it's like a cartoon's happening in my head, right? Like all this chaos, Tom and Jerry, everything's happening. But when we chant together, there's just like a disappearing, a dissolving that happens. So thank you for grounding me, and I hope all of us could start this class with some grounding. I know there's always things happening outside of class, but I hope that here is a place of sanctuary where we can think just about ourselves and our growth and not have too much cloudiness. So I forgot to do this last week, so I'll say it now, and if somebody can remind me at the end of class. Two things we were supposed to talk about. One is teachers for next year's Balavihar. There's a call for teachers, so I need to talk about that. And then I can't remember the second thing. Oh, the second thing is about presentations. So the kids are doing their presentations, and they asked me, would your adult class like to do a presentation? And I was like, well, if I was an adult in the adult class, I would say no. And I tried to say no for all of us, but they pushed me to ask again. So, well, not ask again. I didn't even ask you the first time. So I thought we could be more democratic about it. And we'll talk about it at the end of class if someone can remind me. And I'll just start the class with this. Congratulations to all the kids who participated in the Gita chanting competition yesterday. It was the regionals, and I think next Sunday is Krishna. Next Sunday is states in Orlando. Sanskritam is not easy, especially for those of us growing up here, because our tongue simply doesn't work that way. And it takes a lot more practice and vigilance and consciousness to be able to say those words. It's very tricky. I grew up listening to the Vishnu Sahasranamam every day, and it wasn't until much later during a time period in life where my mom's like, just chant it every day, and it'll help you through a difficult time. And I was like, okay, I'll try. I could not chant the Vishnu Sahasranamam. It was so hard, and I wanted to give up, but eventually, with practice, the tongue twisting, it worked, right? So it's not easy, but they are trying, and they're trying their best, and I appreciate that. And if you see them, you saw the pictures of the kids, maybe you know them personally, please congratulate them. Make them feel special and encourage them to try and keep trying. It's a very competitive. It's a very competitive competition, and they have Gita chanting at the global level as well, which happens in India. So, and people from all around the world, and not just Chinmaya Mission, but any organizations allowed to participate. So you have kids that are part of, there's this Ganpati Sachidananda, they do it, and there's also, Hare Ram Hare Krishna, they do it, and you don't even have to be a part of an organization. So this is just children chanting Gita, and it's lovely. So tell them, good job. And I hope adults are interested in participating too, even though you don't get an award. While your kids are memorizing, you could try to memorize, or at least learn some meaning. Bhakti Yoga is beautiful. Okay, now we can get started. So in preparation, and I do have to prepare for every class, for this class is the culmination of Sadhana Panchakam. I know when we started, oh, 5 verses, she should be done with that in a month, right? And it's been more than a month. It's been more than a semester. We're ending second semester. Yes, there were absences and vacations, but my intention was to take a whole year. Because as now you see, we still haven't even scratched the surface. I'm sure the questions are still bubbling to the top of the mind. And 8 years ago, we did something called, it's called Chinmaya Yuva Kendra, CHIK for short, and it includes every, men and women, and young adults really. And we did something called the CHIK Relay Series. And each one of us, we were all, working professionals, college kids at the time, we were assigned 2 lines from the Sadhana Panchakam, and we had to speak about it in front of everyone. Right? And the assigned verses for me during that CHIK relay, and it's still on YouTube, were these last 2 verses. So I, being like a obsessive journaler, and I like to reflect, I actually watched that in preparation for this class. It was 8 years ago. My voice was nicer. I think that the idealism in your voice goes away after a while. But also the examples I used had Eminem and all of these other things which were more appropriate for that audience. But I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. I still have to reflect on it. But the key points that I spoke about then are still true today. It's a good thing in some ways because our Shastras are always the same. They never fail us, and the lessons they teach us will be applicable in different ways, no matter when we study, right? Okay. And it's bad in some ways because I'm looking back and my mind, I think most of our minds go back to, well, you haven't learned anything. 8 years, where's your improvement? Right? How far have you come? Not very far in some ways. So we constantly go into this critical mode. Right? So we'll look at these verses. I'll share some things that are still true today that were true back then. And maybe we can open it up for a little bit of reflection. This will be the last class of pure lecture. Next class will be more Q&A, like full discussion. So prepare yourselves with questions, and I will, post all of the satsangs from this year in the parents group, so you'll have access to that. It's an invitation for those who have not attended the last couple of weeks to please attend next week, and tell your friends as well. Okay, so we'll do verse 5, lead and repeat. Ekante sukhamasyatam paratare. Ekante sukhamasyatam paratare. Chetas samadhiyatam. Samadhiyatam. Purnatma susamikshyatam. Susamikshyatam. Jagadidam. Tadbadhitam drishyatam. Prakarma pravilapyatam. Chitibalan. Napyuttare shlishyatam. Prarabdham tviha bhujyatam. Atapara. Brahmatmana sthiyatam. The first 2 lines, we talked about solitude and quietening the mind and being joyous in that solitude. Then Purnatma, seeing that all-pervasive self everywhere and recognizing that I am that Brahman. And the other part of the coin, right? The flip side is everything jagadidam tat badhitam drishyatam is nothing but a projection. This is where we were handling question and answer last week. And somebody asked a good question last week. I don't see them here, but we'll talk about it today. Now, the last two lines. Prak karma pravilapyatam. Prak, past, karma from the past. Pravilapyatam. Let it dissolve. Pravila. Pra and vi lapyatam. Pravilapyatam. To really dissolve, to go away. Dissolution, right? Whenever you see salt mixing into water, right? It's irretrievable, right? Unless you make all the water disappear and all that. But what the point is here is that it should basically not exist for us anymore, right? Which is what happens with realization. Your previous karma ceases to exist. But here's this. Chitibala napyuttarai shlishyatam. Okay. Now, conquer the effects of the deeds done in earlier lives by present right action. So how are we conquering them? How do they not exist? How do they go away? The present. We can only control how we react to the world around us and to the situations that we face. I know growing up we have this debate, fate versus free will. Right? In every class we talk about it and it's a hot topic. What our Shastras tell us, and we've talked about it in this class too, it's like an arrow that's been let go. You can't stop an arrow that's been let go. But what you do after that hits is under your control. How we react is free will. What we face in life is fate. I'll say that in the reverse. What we face in life, what comes at us, the relationships, the situations, the bodies we've been given, everything. It includes everything. The minds we've been given, the beauty, the not beauty, the intelligence, the not intelligence, whatever you want to call it. That's all a part of our karma. It's a result of our karma. That is fate. What is free will? How do I handle? How do I manage? How do I cope with this body, with this mind, with this intellect, with this husband, with this wife, with this child, with this boss, with this job, with this home, with this car, with these parents? Everything that came to us because of karma, how do I react? That is in our hands. That is free will. That is where there is agency, and that is where we must escape the victim mode that we get into if we think it's only fate. Because that's what happens. If we only believe in fate, we become victims, right? Because what's the point? That's the part of the debate. If it's only fate, what's the point? This is always gonna happen. This is always gonna be how I'm treated. This is always gonna be how I treat others. Where's the motivation to live life? When you don't have agency, you lack motivation. Right? But our Shastras are telling us, no, you do have free will. And it's in this form, but it's up to you to wield that. You have to get a grip on the steering wheel. You are in the driver's seat, but whether you're driving a car from 1992 or a car that's from last year, fate. Whether your car's tires need to be rotated every 2 weeks or it's an electric or a gas, fate. But you are sitting in the driver's seat. And it's not automatic. So, prakarma pravilapyatam, chitibala napyuttarai shlishyatam. Through wisdom, become detached from future actions as well. So past, that's how you deal with it. That's how we deal with it, through the present. Now, future, how do we get rid of future results of action? Every time I act, if I offer that karma yoga, so you take the karma and you turn it into karma yoga, that's a new and improved form of karma. This karma yoga means you offer that karma to Bhagavan, so you wash your hands of it. Therefore, you don't carry it forward. Let's bring this abstract thought into reality, right? And this is something kids ask all the time. I studied so hard for this test. Okay, good, you studied. That's you in the driver's seat. I get the results back. And I did not do as well as I wanted to do, whether it's a 99 or a 60. I have my standards, and I didn't do as well as I wanted to do, right? If I'm studying, and I know I'm studying and doing my best, before I take that test, Bhagavan, I did study. I'm not just breaking 100 coconuts and asking you to pass me, right? I actually studied. I did my best. I'm offering the results to you. At that point, I stop carrying the burden of the results on my shoulders, right? So the results come. It's not what I wanted, but it's there. There's always, and it's all a mind game. It's all it is. If I went in saying I tried my best and this is it, genuinely, when I get the results, I'll say, okay, how do I move forward? Right? And yesterday after the Gita chanting competition, some kids came up to me. One did well, one didn't do well. Can you go over the results with us? Right? And it's not just like a competition, it's like, just show us where we went wrong. Walk through this with us, right? And it's not normal to do that with the kids, but this is regionals. At state, nobody will do that, so we did. We went through, right? It wasn't, I should have got this, not you. Or, I saw her, she was cheating. Or, the teacher likes them better. They always did. Right? There's so many different holes that our brain can go through, right? But the first thing is, can you go through this with us? Because we want to just be better. That's the reaction when you've tried your best and left it to God. Gurudev says, do your best, leave the rest. That's it. It's an easy thing to remember. No Sanskritam, just English and a few words. Do your best, leave the rest. Leave the rest where? At the feet of Bhagavan. If I don't leave it to Bhagavan, if I don't do karma yoga, then I feel like I am the center of the universe. Everything is in my control. Therefore, if something goes right, good job me. If something goes wrong, bad job me. I am at the center of everything. I have nothing outside of me to hold on to, nothing to support me. Right? So how do we get rid of future karma, building up karma? Whatever we do, and sometimes it's the hardest things, right? Whatever we do, Bhagavan, I tried not to argue with my child or my spouse or whoever today. I tried not to argue with I was in Austin, right? Visiting my parents with my baby. Bhagavan, I tried not to argue with my mom or dad, right? I tried to let them do what they think is best for the child. I leave it with you. That way, when I get on that flight and come home, my mind isn't stuck in woulda, shoulda, coulda in Austin. I can be here in Jacksonville with you all, studying. Right? But it's a practice, and it takes practice after practice after practice and failure after failure. Right? Karma yoga is a practice. That's why when people are like, yeah, I'm going to go do hot yoga, upside down yoga, dog yoga, cat yoga, which exists. Yoga is such an important term. Yuj dhatu, uniting. Uniting with what? Not a cat with me or a dog with me. You're uniting this lower mind with the higher mind. So through karma, action, I am uniting my lower self, this Swati entity, with Brahman, that higher. And who is the medium? If I can't get there, Bhagwan's holding my hand to help me unite, right? Because at this point, I need a name and a form. So instead of saying I am Brahman, I'll say, Krishna, you take care of it. Krishna, you take care of it, and there's an agreement. We're all Brahman. So, karma yoga helps us with future karma. So past karma, we can only face it in the present. Future karma, taken care of through karma yoga. Now, prarabdham, this is the doing right now. This amount of karma that I have to face right now in this janma, not stuff in the bank account. Right? Now, prarabdham tviha bhujyatam atapara brahmatmanasthiyata. Experience and exhaust prarabdha, the fruits of past actions, thereafter live absorbed in the bhava, I am Brahman. Parabrahmatmanasthiyata. So, experience your prarabdha. Yeah, I would if it was something fun, something I wanted to do. Yeah, bring on the prarabdha, right? I can experience it. If prarabdha was like eating ice cream, yeah, give it to me. I'll do it. But what does prarabdha mean? It's like eating everything. Things you want to and don't want to. Shankranti, right? You have the bitter, you have the salt, you have the sweet, you have everything. That is prarabdha. It's this mixture of everything. And those who can handle all of these tastes and say it's a part of life, let's go. For them, prarabdha becomes like eating ice cream. For most of us who want to take and pick apart, all the bitter neem leaves go to the side. I give it to my brother. I only want all of the sweet, kalkanda. And I'll take the salt. That's nice too. Spicy, I'll give that to my dad. Right? If we want to be nitpicky about life, then experiencing and exhausting prarabdha becomes difficult. My husband and I, we debate/argue about this all the time. But he comes from more of that mindset where it's like, oh man, I say I'm so stressed out, like this is what needs to happen and it's not getting done. He'll be like, but that's life, right? Like that's the phase in life we're in. Toddlerhood is like this. And I'm like, that's not what I asked. And that's not what I said. In fact, I didn't ask for a solution. But it's clear if you were to, have a little drone and watch our lives like some Netflix special, you would see he lives life in a much free and simpler way than I do. I live with a lot more resistance. And he doesn't. Maybe because I'm taking some of the resistance, but that's my head. So, how do you live this prarabdha? So Swamiji, and this comes from the last thing I watched on YouTube. Swamiji was talking about, to us as we were college kids, I think, it's okay if you want to resist your prarabdha. But know very clearly that if you don't face it now, it will come back. It will come back with a different name and a different form. And that completely shifted my mind. Because if I don't deal with my problem with my best friend in high school, where there's jealousy or betrayal, whatever it is, and I can't come to terms with it, right? And I don't need for there to be a solution, but I need my mind to let it go. There's a difference. Because in life, you can't put a bow on everything. Because that's not in your control. Forgiveness, other people forgiving you is not in your control, right? But in my mind, could I let go and say, I tried, and that's it? Could I have my own resolution? That's the only thing I'm capable of, right? And if I say, hey, it's senior year, I don't even care. I'm just going to let it go, right? At some point, I'm going to meet somebody else. They might be my TA, my RA, they might be a professor. Similar situation. Different name, different form. And I'm forced to face that again. I change classes. I don't want that professor or that TA anymore. I'm going to try and avoid that. Then, you date somebody. I feel like in my life, I'm going in circles. Did I not go through this again like before? You get to that point. I've been there. Deja vu, deja vu, deja vu. That's how prarabdha comes to us. So, given our current partners and current children, right? Again, there's exceptions, and I need to make that clear. There are exceptions, right, in extreme situations. But generally, if I have a conflict going on, it's better for me to learn how to manage that with this partner instead of trying again and again and again with other people in life. It's better for me to learn to manage that with these children instead of, I can't fix this, so I'm going to focus on something else. Right? I can't be in this chaos right now, so I'm just going to focus on work. Or I'm just going to go do my hobby and avoid it. It's going to come back. And this is a hard truth. It's a very hard truth for me to swallow. It was, and it still is. And even in the extreme cases, let's say it's an unhealthy situation. This hits close to home. If I cannot stand up for myself in this current relationship, whether it's a significant other, a boss, whatever, my family, and draw those boundaries, there will be a time where I will be pushed to do that in another relationship. There is absolutely no avoiding it. And that's the beauty of wisdom. You live life long enough, and I think in this room, we've lived life long enough. We've met enough people in life, we've met enough uncles and aunties, and heard enough gossip. Oh, did you hear about that kid? He was in 3rd year of medical school and he dropped out. We've heard it all, right? We can only reflect on our own lives at the end of the day. And the lessons we have to learn it. It's unfortunate when we think that person or that situation is done. Either that person no longer exists in our circle or exists at all, but it does come back. And it comes back in different ways. And if you have children, boy, do you have to reflect on your own parenting, like how you were parented when you become a parent. Because God knows that doesn't work anymore. The world is changing so fast. So how do we get through this prarabdha? That's what this means. And this is the last verse of the Sadhana Panchakam for a reason. This is the hardest pill to swallow. Because we always want to just say, okay, I'm Brahman, escape. Right? This is reminding us just before you finish this text and you think you're so high and mighty. You need to get through your prarabdha. And it's better if you treat it as ice cream, even when it's not, because it is a mind game. It is all, life is a mind game. Three times in Upanishads, 4 times in Upanishads it says that. My mind can be my enemy or my best friend. That's what this means. It's a mind game. If I keep letting the mind stay the enemy, I will be my biggest deterrent, my biggest conflict will be coming from inside. Obstacle, challenge will be me. We were doing a reflection in some group of chaplaincy work, and they're like, what is the biggest challenge you see in chaplaincy work? And I'm like, honestly, me. I'm the biggest challenge in my chaplaincy work. You want to talk about systemic? Sure. But right now, none of us are in a position to change that. It's like discussing politics, right? I mean, yeah, we can talk about politics at a superficial level, but locally, did I vote? No? Okay, that means I really don't care, right? Locally, personally, what am I doing? How am I becoming better at my profession and as a human being in my spiritual growth? How do you measure this? Right? We all come from data background. We want to know how to improve. These kids, right? They're asking, how do I improve? What I've found, which has been helpful and has been affirmed by some Swamijis, is that the idea, and we've talked about this before, this refractory period, the period from when a signal is sent and a signal is received, right? During any hardship, up or down in life, how long does it take for me to bounce back? We've talked about this, but that's my best measure, right? At least, and if you come up with something else, tell me. Mostly it'll be personal, but you can still share. If the same thing happened 5 years ago, how long would it have taken for me to bounce back? Am I getting better? Am I getting worse? If I'm getting worse, there might be things I need to consider that I've been pushing under the rug. Because that means I'm really stretching myself thin and I'm walking on eggshells. If the smallest thing is tipping me over, and I catch myself, I've told you guys this, right? No sleep, for me, I become a different human being, right? We talked about Daivi and Asura Buddhi. Daivi can be there even at 50, 60%, but no sleep, 100% Asuric Buddhi. No doubt, right? How am I being responsible to myself in evaluating my spiritual health? And luckily, you don't pay money to have somebody else evaluate you for spiritual health. You don't have to go into a doctor's office or a spiritual doctor's office. You don't even need to go to see a Swamiji, because usually when you go to a Swamiji, you already have the problems and you're just spilling. You don't need them to tell you, oh, this is your problem. No, I have my problems, thank you. So, 5 years ago, currently, and what do I want to do? How do I see? And sometimes we feel like, oh, I don't want to deal with the ideal version of me because I just feel bad that I can't do that. The ideal version of you is shooting for the stars. Your potential is beautiful and brilliant. If I can try and shoot into the sky, and then you land somewhere better than you would have if you hadn't tried. That's the point. Because if I hadn't tried, I'd be all the way down here. I'm happy to shoot up there and land here. So how do I want to be 5 years from now? Even if I haven't slept in 2 days, I want to be at peace with myself. Lofty goal, but I'm going to try. And I've seen people, man, and this is no judgment on people who eat meat, don't eat meat, your personal decisions, right? Somebody who had to eat chicken every single day, for them to feel like they ate something. And that's 3 meals a day, right? Every day. And then cold turkey, they stopped. Then, after stopping, I think 6 years, they did 1 meal a day because they realized that food had a grip on them. 1 meal a day, okay? They did that for about 6 years maybe. And now they eat every other day, literally every other day. How far has that person come? You know what their goal is? Not eat at all. I know, right? And we're like, see, that's a lofty goal. But that's their goal. And look how far they've come, though, right? We have to be kind. And I was having a conversation. They're like, I don't know if I'll ever make it. I'm like, dude, I can't even come next to you. I have to eat every 2 hours. Forget every other day. So, we have to look at ourselves, be kind and not critical. I'm the best example of being critical and unhealthy. Not critical, be kind. 5 years ago, where were you? Okay. Now if something like that happened, how would you react? The same way? Okay, what can we work on? Right? Do you need to go talk to a counselor? Do you need to go vent to your best friend? Do you need to build a community? Do you need a village? What do you need to help you become better? Because sometimes it's just that one best friend that you call and say, man, I did not like today. This happened, that happened. And you can go home a different person. You just need to get it out. Or maybe you just sit with Bhagavan Krishna in your car and tell him, you know, you were supposed to help me with this and you didn't, so I blame you. Take it off your shoulders. I blame you, and now you gotta deal with this aftermath. Pick up the pieces, Krishna, because I don't have the energy. Put it on him. He doesn't care. He only wants to see you grow, and he only wants to give love. If there's any criticism, it's usually coming from ourselves. Right? Prarabdham tviha bhujyatam. Bhujyatam. Bhujyat is using as eating as well, but here it's just like, eat your prarabdha, right? Finish it off. Go through it. Experience it. Become better along the way if you can, because that's what life is all about. What is the point of life? Meaning making. We talk about that because when you don't have meaning, you don't have life. Right? You just are a robot. Where does the meaning come from? At least for me, it comes from spiritual growth. It comes from my relationship with Bhagavan. 5 years ago, maybe I would have trash talked somebody that I was mad at. Today, I trash talk to Krishna. That is improvement. 5 years from now, I don't trash talk at all. Right? We pick what's important to us, right? And that's why I made us talk last week about what our personal, setbacks are, our challenges are. We can pinpoint that and come up with a plan, right? Just like a project. And we can pick whether it's something about physical or mental. 5 years ago, if I got a gray hair, I would have been like, oh my God, I'm getting old. In my mid-20s, whatever. And people start getting gray hairs as early as teens. I've seen teenagers with gray hair. It's a norm these days. I don't know. It's all the stuff we're eating and the air we're breathing. But anyway, today if I get a gray hair, who's going to spend time pulling that out? You leave it. Maybe I'll get the nice silver fox look. Right? Maybe that's the 5-year goal, silver fox. We got to pick something close to us. Because for me, my body and how it changes generally is not as important as my relationships. That's the biggest thing that puts a dent in my spiritual growth. Right? But I know for some people, physical is a big part of it, especially if there's something that you aspire towards or you grew up with people telling you certain things about your body. I get that. That's why everybody has to pick their own thing. And I don't want to trivialize, anything. And I know for some people, relationships are actually easier. They know how to put up boundaries, like my husband. They know how, to say, I need this, I don't need this, and speak up for themselves. They grew up with that being a norm. And they shouldn't have to feel guilty for that. They need to accommodate for others, but that's a good thing. That's a healthy thing, right? And some of us, no, we need to work on that. And this last part, know that I am Brahman. We're in the last class, right? Last class. If we go through this verse by verse by verse, all the qualities, all of the challenges, all of the wisdom, I guarantee you, we don't have an option but to know we're Brahman. That's the promise of our Shastras. You just work on yourself. Don't worry about the philosophy and the intellect. Well, what if everybody gets realized? That was the question, right? We just work on ourselves, and at some point, everything will just melt away. You won't have a choice but to know and dwell in the joy and the truth that I am Brahman. Because what else is there? If I'm not standing in my way, what else is there? Somebody can come and, push me against the wall when they're trying to run and get their kid and go without making eye contact with me, right? But somebody's in a rush. Because Swati, would be like, oh, does he not see me? Does he not see me walking? How rude. Like all of the, you can say, excuse me, right? Like all of the things that this body demands respect. R-E-S-P-E-C-T, right? That doesn't exist. Swati doesn't exist. Because I've said, hey, chill, Swati, you're not that important. Like, relax. So somebody knocks me over, chalo, I'm okay, we're okay, they're in a rush. Sarvam Brahmamayam. Right? Because when we get upset with the world, when we get angry at the world, when we don't feel respected, when we don't feel appreciated, it's all coming from that ego, the little I. The more of a grip that ego has on us, the more we'll feel that way. Standing up for oneself, yes, that's important, but all in this game of life. Not from the standpoint of I'm Swati, therefore I need respect. I'm standing up because he runs into a child and that child bumps their head. Right? Or he runs into me and I got an injury. I'll be like, bro, slow down, right? Like that's you gotta relax, right? And they may not take it nicely, but that's my responsibility. Karma Yoga is to say, hey, slow down, because somebody just got injured. They say, okay. I don't go, oh, no, you listen to me. And turn them around and make sure we have eye contact. So you hurt me. Look at me. That's clearly Swati talking, right? There's a difference. Because I don't want us to go with the wrong idea that Shastras just tell you you're nothing, right? And you shouldn't speak out and all of this, right? Dharma is dharma, but Swati is Swati. And Brahman is Brahman, period. So, Sampurnam, that finishes Sadhana Panchakam. We have 10 minutes, so I'll highlight the importance of having teachers for next year, and we can talk about whether you want to do a presentation. So we'll finish with Purnamadaha and then have the conversation. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Thank you for joining me on this journey. I really, really appreciate it. Vilasiji asked me last week, are you enjoying this teaching? And I'm like, whenever we don't have class, I go insane. I need to remind myself of the truth because I don't do it as often as I should. At least I can do it on Sundays. So thank you. Now,
can I thank you?
Yes. We're good. We're good. We're good.
No, it is really important
thank you.
that we know and understand the value having an in-person teacher every single week show up and walk us through with tons of examples. And just, it's amazing.
Thank you.
And thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Okay, so with Balavihar happening, right? That's the only reason y'all are here. If we don't have enough teachers to teach the kids, there won't be classes. There won't be classes for the kids. Parents don't show up. Parents don't show up. You don't have access to satsang. Please think about teaching. You don't have to be Brahmavit Brahman I am to teach. Trust me, second graders and first graders don't care whether you're Brahman or not. Right? They really don't. It is so, and that's why I started by saying thank you, because teaching forces you to reflect. If you had no idea that what's Lakshmi Devi's vehicle? Ganeshji's is a mouse. Lakshmi Devi's? She sits on a lotus, but she can't ride the lotus. Well, maybe she could. But owl. I had no idea until a Bhavihar kid told me during a summer camp. And I was like, oh boy.
What does it stand for, the owl?
I have no idea. I was only told it was an owl. I have no idea.
She's vigilant all the time.
Maybe. Like women. Yeah, maybe. But these are the things, right? You have no idea how much you are capable of learning, and the trivia even. Like my mom told me this, but I didn't know why. Now's a chance for you to explore. I'm telling you. There's people that I never thought, like husbands of Bhavihar teachers who were pushed into it, and they taught second grade, and now they sing bhajans like this. And I'm like, one more time, please, for me. And they're like, no. But they love their kids, and those kids graduating, right? And this is in an old center. But please think about it. You'll have support. You'll have co-teachers. I know time commitment is a thing, but this is how it works. The more teachers there are, the more you can take off, right? Like, I'm not saying like skip the whole year and teach one day, but if you're on call every, once a month, if you go on vacation during the long weekends, right? You'll have substitutes. There are people more than happy to sub and step in. But if there aren't at least 2 key teachers for each class, which they really didn't have this year, but they scraped by. They really scraped by. But if they don't have that, they can't offer the classes. It's not difficult. You read a story about Ganeshji and you tell it in class. And if the kids ask a question that you don't know, you say, that's a great question. Let's talk about it next week. Or let's sing a bhajan and then we'll talk about it. Oh, wait, it's time to go. Next week. Right? And you go and try not to Wikipedia. Try to do a little bit more than Wikipedia. And you come back. And honestly, they won't even remember the question. So but it's for you. Right? So please think about it. Men, women, anybody is encouraged. They are encouraged. And honestly, I always love seeing a combination of men and women because the way the older kids connect to certain genders, you can tell very quickly. And some of the teachers that really changed the classroom environment were the non-traditional ones, right? The ones who didn't grow up with all these scriptures, the ones who identified with the children more and said, you know what, I never heard this either. I don't know why we don't have to do this, or why do we have to touch books? I didn't know growing up, but this is what I learned, and this is what I learned to do. So if you wanna and it resonates with you, you should do it. If you wanna explore it, we can explore it together, right? So you don't have to be a know-it-all. In fact, if you are, it's harder for the kids. Please think about it. There will be, don't quote me on this because I think they're still discussing it, but we're going to kind of do a interest session workshop, and I'll be leading it, and we'll watch some Netflix and like talk about how Hinduism is portrayed today and why teaching is important and your role as teachers. It's a little dip your toes session, okay? So think about it, okay? Please, thank you. Then, next thing is, do you want to do a presentation? Are you interested? I said, actually, I did give a suggestion because I didn't want to be, bad. So I said, well, we could ask 2 or 3 people if they want to share like a, testimonial, but like they said no. I got shot down. So, I mean, that's the thing. If it was students, right, I would say like you could do a little skit or a little PowerPoint, but that requires you to spend time on it. And I think it's hilarious when adults try to do skits because like we're so awkward and like I think that's just funny in itself. So you could potentially just play, this would be hilarious if you just want to decide that there's a mom, dad, and 2 kids and they're getting ready for a Bali Vihar in the morning, right? And just have some people do that drama. Don't take it too far, just 5 minutes, We don't need to know too much personal information. And then you can have someone be the narrator and be like, that's how a Rajasic morning looks. Or like something you learn in class, Or that's how I used to react. But I hope that this is how I become. And then have the perfect family, Something silly, right? That's usually how presentations go. Because I don't like boring presentations, especially from adults. Like, we have to do boring presentations all the time. But that requires y'all's commitment. Right? It's not a one-woman show. So, yeah, I feel like we're all looking at each other's faces. Any theater majors? Anybody? No. I gave you an idea. I tried. So what should I tell them? That nobody's interested in doing a presentation. I'll say, we learned nothing.
You can say that the committee is still evaluating these various proposals, and the answers will be given after a few years.
There you go.
So something which is correct, incorrect.
Something ambiguous. How long have you been in corporate, sir?
I'm actually not in corporate.
Okay.
I have to deal with things in corporate, so yes.
Oh, okay. So you've been dealing with them. That's funny.
So when were like even if time we say we
Do something.
when were
It would be the last day, 17.
like 17?
You have time.
3 weeks.
Yeah, you have 3 weeks. You have 3 weeks. And I don't know how much time we'll have for Mother's Day to even have a class. I don't know how long that takes or anything. But next week we have, and I was just going to Q&A, but if you want that time to prep, you can have it.
I think we should do something to be a good example.
To the kids.
Because that's the whole point, right?
I get it.
Expect them to do stuff, and then we don't show up. Although, like, adding something to already busy lives feels like
Too
no, I
much.
don't wanna do
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But then, like, the right thing to do.
The right, yes. It's called Shreyas and Preyas. The path of the right and the path of the pleasant. Yes.
I think we all know the right answer.
Well, why don't we do this? Think about it, like he said, but not 3 years later. Think about it. And maybe if there's something that's not a skit, something easier, maybe I'll come up with a poem or a song or a dance.
I thought it was a skit idea.
Okay.
I have a skit idea, although I'm not a parent. None of my kids are here, so it's for you. It's easy to give advice. Like somebody sitting down in meditation, one, and then our thoughts, and different parents come in as thoughts.
Oh.
And you know,
Yeah.
how, like, oh, let me go cook something, or
Yeah.
let me see what this so and so is doing.
Yeah.
You know?
That way you don't have to work together too much either. You know, you just have
One
pairs.
person
And
is sitting down in meditation, and the others just jump in as thoughts.
Archanaji's gonna
I like
sit.
that.
She's done.
When the thoughts fight each other.
There you
And
go.
the thoughts fight each other. I like that. Anybody have fake blow up arm? You know, bring those in.
Pool noodles.
Yes. Pool noodles. Yes. Oh, something silly. I like that. I like that idea.
It won't take preparation either. Just
No,
randomly, we know
random
what happens
thoughts.
in our heads. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I just don't want. Okay, so next week, come back, think about it. Maybe you have a best friend in this class that you don't mind pairing up with. And you guys come up with a thought, you know. That's it. I knew it. I know.
I contemplate for eternity.
It was this really good point that the parents should do something. And
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
again, I'm like,
Yeah, I know.
myself.
Yeah, we should do something.
I mean, if there's enough interest, I think I'll.
You're down. You're down. Okay. He'll bring the pool noodles.
Absolutely.
All right. So next week we can, figure it out a little bit more. It won't take too long. I'd love that idea. Yeah. And then I'll also ask them how much time they are allotting us. And I doubt they want to do this on Mother's Day, but 17th probably we can do something. Okay, then we're good. Perfect. Thank you all.